live update for what is going on in the Forex market at the new session open and what we can potentially do to take advantage of the conditions and see if we have any trade opportunities. We were out last week. We had power outages and major ice storm, snowstorm here in Texas, which is very unusual, and but finally back to normal. It's crazy. We went from sub-zero conditions last week to 70 plus degrees yesterday. So absolutely unreal. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to first have a look at what news is coming up, and then we'll talk about the trade opportunities that are there. Right? So let's begin over here, and let's bring up the news calendar, which is right here. Today we don't have any high impact news. We do have some medium impact stuff with ECB President Lagarde speaking, but really that's about it. We've got a couple of other little announcements that are coming up later. Tuesday and Wednesday, though, we do have some news. Mr. Powell is testifying on Tuesday and Wednesday morning. And so, more than likely it'll be a non-event, but it's considered red because obviously Mr. Powell is speaking and there is a potential high impact opportunity if something is said that's outside of what's already being factored in to the market and whatnot. So potential news, well, I mean, not potential, there is news tomorrow and Wednesday, potential high impact depending on what comes out of those news events and what kind of blurbs, headlines are made from it. Rest of the week, Thursday, Friday, clear sailing. We have some reports, but they're low impact, so nothing that would keep us out of the market. So with all that said, let's go over here. What are we looking at for the day? Do we have any strong currencies? Do we have any weak currencies? Do we have divergence that is hitting the radar that would allow us to get in and take some trades? Right now, out of the gate, I'm really not seeing anything. The best we've got is potential pairing of CAD versus yen, which isn't even one I've got on my charts anymore. I'd like trading CAD yen, and it's something we could potentially have a look at, but it's not something I've had up in a while. There's been better opportunities that are out there. Unfortunately for today, if we look at what's happening kind of across the board here, most of our currencies have moved well over 50% of what their typical range would be. Not to say that there isn't maybe some intraday opportunity to scalp something here, but as far as taking that initial trade right out of the gate, looking for that breakout based on movement that's been happening leading up to the new session, I don't really see anything that's terribly appetizing. Remember, what we're looking for when we look for these breakout trades in the morning at the first part of the session is we're looking for divergence. We're looking for a currency that's a strong currency that's been above the midpoint and is moving stronger, and we're looking for a counter currency that's a weak currency that's below the midpoint and moving weaker. So like this CAD versus the yen, this is a nice divergence that we're seeing right now. We've got a strong currency and a weak currency, and they're diverging very well from one another. So that's a nice potential opportunity, what we're looking for. The other thing that we consider, though, once we find currencies that are moving like that are having that divergence, one strong, one weak, they're diverging from one another, the next thing that we look at is we go here and we look at what's happening on that actual chart. First, is that movement supported by the current trend that currency pairing is seeing? Do we have a volume detail that supports the direction that we'd be looking to trade? And do we have room left to move? And what do I mean by room? Well, we look at that current day range and we compare it to multiple days of historical range. So we look at that 15 to 30 day range and we go, well, if we moved 70 pips on the day and our average range is 85 to 90, do we really have enough opportunity there for that currency pairing to move and get us that 20 pips that we might need for this breakout style trade? If we do, great. If we don't, then we go ahead and we pass. And that's kind of where we are today. I like to see these ranges, coming into the new session, 50, 60% is okay, but we start getting close to the top of that current historical range. and it makes the trades less attractive. So all of this to say, for this morning, I really don't have a Forex trade opportunity to come at you right out of the gate that we can just park there and feel comfortable with what's happening in the market and what's being traded. And that's okay. That's a good thing, right? We shouldn't be trading every single day. There needs to be days where we trade and days where we go, conditions aren't quite right. I'm going to leave it here and not take additional risk that's unnecessary. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to pass on the breakout trade. We'll come back in a few minutes. We'll talk about what's happened in the futures market and see if we have some opportunities there.